Last video I made you a promise on camera. I said the next thing I would do is take the first bug in that autonomous build loop, the cost ceiling that halted a run, and then let it walk straight past the same line on resume and fix it, not describe it. Fix it with the log to prove it held. This is that log. Watch it hold. Quick recap for anyone who missed the first one. The loop had a cost ceiling set at $25. On the run that exposed the bug, it worked once. At 12:40 in the morning, the running total crossed the line, and the loop halted at $29.63. Textbook, then a human resumed it, and on resume, the ceiling was never checked again. The total climbed $35, $32, $39, $67, $42.06, straight through the $25 line it had just stopped on. The guardrail fired exactly once, halted the run, paged a human, and then forgot it existed the instant the run came back to life. Two numbers, a ceiling that held and a resume that didn't. So why does a working ceiling forget itself? Because of where the check lived. The limit was enforced in exactly one place. The function that adds up cost, right after a paid session, hands back its bill. Spend, then check, spend, then check. That works perfectly as long as spending is the only way into the loop. But resume is a second entrance to the control loop. When you restart a halted run, the loop re-enters partway through, already over budget, and heads straight into the next phase, a paid one, without ever passing the check that could stop it. The ceiling was not broken, it was standing in the wrong doorway. It guarded the exit and left the back door wide open. Every phase after a resume was a free swing at the meter. Now, proving a fix for a money bug is exactly where most demos quietly cheat. I could tell you I reran the loop and it held, and you would just have to trust me. So here is the honest version, and I want to be precise about it. To trip that $25 ceiling for real, I would have to run a build that genuinely racks up $25 of metered cost. I'm not going to burn that just to make a point on camera. So instead, I use the kit's own self-test mechanism, a mock agent that bills 1 cent per call against a ceiling set to 2.5 cents. Same control code, the real logic, just honest little numbers. Pennies instead of dollars, so the ceiling can actually trip and you can watch the mechanism do its job. This is not a reenactment of a $25 burn. It is the exact same guard, the exact same code path run under a cost I control, so the machine does the talking instead of me. Here is that raw log with the old buggy code, and I will let it carry the numbers. The fresh run spends its way up and halts at 3 cents. A human resumes. The data architect phase runs a second time. Halt, now at 4 cents. The total moved after the ceiling said stop. One more penny spent past a line it had already stopped on. That is kit bug number 1, caught in the act, shrunk down small enough to fit on a single screen. The fix falls straight out of the diagnosis. If the ceiling only guards the exit, put a guard at the entrance. First, I pulled the comparison, is the running total at or over the ceiling, out into its own tiny function, so there is exactly one definition of over budget, and both places call the same one. Then I dropped that check in as the very first line of the function that runs a Claude session before it spends a cent. If you are already over budget, when you walk in, you halt right there before the paid call, not after it. That is the whole change. 5 lines in the pipeline script. Not a rewrite, not a new subsystem. One guard moved to the one place it was missing. And honestly, that is what most of these fixes look like. The logic was never the hard part. Knowing which door was unguarded was. It is committed to the kit's repository with a test, so this is not a whiteboard fix. It is in the tree. So, same loop, same over budget resume that walked to 4 cents a minute ago. New code in place now. Watch the same moment again. The fresh run halts at 3 cents, exactly like before. The human resumes, and this time the log reads, ceiling reached, before spending, resume is over budget, halt, total cost, 3 cents. It did not run the phase. It did not spend the 4th penny, 0 additional spend on resume. The same entry point that leaked a penny 30 seconds ago now holds the line because the line is finally being checked on the way back in before anything gets bought. That one log line reached before spending is the receipt. It is the machine refusing at the second entrance to do the exact thing that ran the meter to $42 at 12:40 in the morning. Same code path, same over budget state, opposite outcome. The only thing that changed is where the check now stands. But one held run is an anecdote, not a proof. The real receipt is the self-test suite. I ran it against the fixed code and all 18 scenarios pass. 2 of them are brand new, one asserts the ceiling halts on resume, and one asserts the resume spends nothing past it, wanted 3 cents, got 3 cents. The other 16 are the checks that already existed, and every one of them still passes. So the change does the new thing and breaks none of the old things. 18 of 18, green on the fixed code. That is the log I owed you, and it is checked into the repository so you can run it yourself. Here is the part that outlives this one kit. Every limit you enforce on the way in, you have to enforce again on the way back in. A resume, a retry, a restart, a failover, each one is a second entrance to your control loop, and your guardrails do not automatically stand at every door. They stand where you put them and nowhere else, so go look at your own automation tonight. Find one limit, a budget, a rate cap, a retry count, and ask exactly one question. If this process resumed already over the line, would anything actually stop it? If you are not sure, the answer is no. Next video, I open up the next layer of this loop and pull one more thread, same rule, receipts only. Subscribe if you want that one the day it lands.